The Whispering Woods. There's a stretch of forest just outside my hometown that everyone knows to avoid after dark. They say it's dangerous, filled with jagged terrain and wild animals. Others have a different story. They call it the Whispering Woods. I'd heard the stories growing up, tales of people who went in at night and came out. Wrong. Some wouldn't speak for weeks. Others would be found miles away, dazed and wandering. A few were never found at all. The whispers, they said, were what did it. If you heard them and listened too closely, you'd lose yourself. But, of course, I didn't believe any of it. That changed when my best friend Mike disappeared. We'd been out late one night, walking back from a party, when he dared me to cut through the woods. I laughed it off, but he ran ahead, yelling over his shoulder that I was a coward. The trees swallowed him up, and I stood there for a moment, debating. I should have turned back, but I didn't. I followed him. The moment I stepped into the forest, the air changed. It was heavy, damp, and unnervingly quiet. Mike, I called. No answer. I walked deeper. Come on, man. It's not funny. Still nothing. That's when I heard it, a faint whisper. Help. The voice was weak, familiar. Mike, I called. The whisper came again, from somewhere deeper in the woods. I followed it. The deeper I went, the louder the whispers became. But they weren't just one voice anymore. Turn back, they hissed. Stay, leave, listen. The whispers seemed to come from everywhere. I frantically tried to pinpoint their source. Shadows moved between the trees. My pulse raced. For a moment, the whispers stopped, replaced by a deep, heavy silence. Then, Mike stepped out. His face was pale, his eyes wide and unblinking. Mike, I thought you. I stopped. Something was wrong. His lips moved, but the words didn't match. Help me, he said, in that same weak voice I'd heard earlier. His mouth kept moving, forming words I couldn't hear. The whispers surged, louder now, deafening. Listen, they screamed. The shadows moved closer, and I realized they weren't shadows at all. They were people. Pale, hollow-eyed figures with expressions frozen in terror. They reached for me. I stumbled and fell. When I looked up, Mike was inches away, his breath icy on my skin. Don't, listen, he whispered, and then his face twisted, and he screamed. I scrambled to my feet and ran, crashing through branches and roots, the whispers chasing me. When I burst out of the woods, the night air was sharp and clear. The whispers stopped. I turned back, but there was no sign of Mike or the pale figures. A week later, search parties found a body deep in the woods. They said it was Mike, but I knew better. I saw his eyes when they pulled him out wide, unblinking and empty. Sometimes, when I'm alone at night, I still hear the whispers, faint and pleading, just beyond the edge of the trees, and I know they're waiting, calling for anyone who dares to listen.